Today we're going to talk about, matter of fact, let me introduce who I'm here with. I'm Louis Dangervil.
Johnson in the building.
Etienne Wright.
Yes, indeed.
All right, now we're here, and we're going to be talking about Black Panther. Everybody in the room has seen it? Yes,
I've seen it.
It's 2 weeks since it came out.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for Lou to go ahead and check that out.
And now we can talk about it.
Now we official. Yes, indeed, man. So what you think of the movie, sir? Get your overall opinion, man.
Like, there was a lot of different themes that individually, you know what I'm saying, are like conversations that we need to have.
Right.
But what I've been seeing in the time that I've been trying to hide from all the spoilers is that everybody's trying to mix all the conversations together. You know what I'm saying? And when you do that, you can't really attack any one point, because as soon as you put a pin in that one, air starts coming out over there, you know what I mean? But like, there's a lot of messages to talk about. What you guys think?
Yeah, it's a lot of layers, you know what I'm saying, in the film. I guess it depends on the mindset that you're in as to what you get out of the movie, you know what I'm saying? Like, for me, for example, and for a lot of people, I think as well, Killmonger wasn't exactly such a villain. Right. You know what I mean? To all of us, we could kind of understand where he was coming from and what created him to be who he was. At the end of the day, that's one theme I was definitely digging. I was definitely digging his character, his mindset, and where he was going with it. I don't know if y'all agree, but it was, to me, if he could have got together and they could have worked it out, oh man, you know, that would have been.
That's the message.
That would have been crazy.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on it?
I'm with y'all. I mean, I thought they touched on some important topics. I think the Killmonger Black Panther aspect, to me, was the classic Martin versus Malcolm kind of discussion or approach to dealing with what's going on in the world. You know, I thought it did justice to... I was reading this, and I got to credit Twitter for this, because this was somebody's tweet, but they were like, yo, if you peep his suit basically took the energy intended to hurt him and used that same energy against the people that wanted to use it against him. So I think that that's one of those kind of things that it's like, I don't know if that was at the top of the pyramid as far as what they were trying to relate, but I think the underlying point of that is sharp.
Like, you think of that, like his group Purple, you know what I'm saying? And Killmonger's, who I thought was like the typical representation of the African American, you know what I'm saying? And but his grew gold. So the pain that we were been giving, we've been able to make money off of it. You know what I'm saying? The pain they've been giving has been allowed them to stay steeped in the traditions. You know what I'm saying? So like you said, if we can bring those things together, because like Wakanda still got resources. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see Killmonger and T'Challa come together and save Wakanda after Wakanda's been stripped. Because that's where we're really at right now. Right. The African American and the Native African, if we can come together and control the culture instead of letting everybody else spread it out and make money off of it, that shit gonna be sweet. We're gonna be back wearing royal robes and adorned in gold.
And not to go off course, I think you bring up an important thing, you know what I'm saying, or an important topic there, man, because there are a lot of, how should I say it, a lot of thoughts about African Americans from Native Africans, and a lot of thoughts about Africans from African Americans that keep us on the opposite side of the fence. You know what I mean? I was actually involved in a conversation last week, and it was the same thing, you know, African Americans, you have no culture. Or we come over here, you don't own anything. There's a lack of understanding for what we've been through here in this country as black people, and I think we also have a lack of understanding of what they've been through. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of keeps us at a standstill, to a point, to a degree. This only represents a small portion of the people here and the people there. I don't think it speaks for everyone, but those things can kind of get in the way a little bit sometimes. You know what I mean? So this is one of the things I see. But definitely, you're right. It was a representation of what we go through here and a representation of what goes on over there. So that was clear. That was a clear cut
like
thing.
Killmonger was over there in America alone. Nobody came to get him. He was left. You know what I'm saying? And he came back. And that's the message that, like, not to be scared of us Africans. Nah. Like, there's this African proverb that says, if the youth aren't embraced, they'll burn down the village to feel warmth. And that's what Killmonger was doing. Right. He was coming back because he wanted to be a part of it. And if he had to destroy it all to be a part of it, so be it. But I'm going to be a fucking part of it. You know what I'm saying? So
Doug had a tradition kicked in from the beginning. I thought the movie kicked off with like it gripped you from the beginning because it starts off obviously with his father passing, but then also instantly he has to officially adopt being the king. I dug the tradition behind he had to be willing to earn it, you know what I mean, and potentially lose it, you know. And I dug the different tribes, you know. I think they did a good job of kind of giving Wakanda a little bit of background as it would be in most African American or African neighborhoods where you got your sides, you got your lineage, you got your your tribe you go to bat for. But I dug that there was also the bigger family, which was the people of Wakanda. So I thought it was dope how they jumped right into the tradition part, and kind of showed him being vulnerable as well. So I thought that was interesting as he could be stripped of his power, unlike a lot of most superheroes, at least in Marvel. Is they have their powers. Very few can have it taken away and give it back to them in that manner, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It was dope, man, all around. The best part of the film to me was how the women were represented.
Yes.
And the role that they played. You know what I mean? Because it's very rare that you get to see powerful black women in those roles. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they were the lead of the pack, pretty much, when it came to the fighting, when it came to the warriorship. They was right there on the
They had his
lines.
back, yo.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like they had his back.
And the emotional intelligence that they had, like they knew him better than he knew him. You know what I'm saying? Like the Michonne, you know what I'm saying, on Walking Dead. I forget what her name was in the movie, but
I believe that's her name.
But she was like, "You gonna go over there and see Lupita? Like, don't freeze."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
She knew. She followed him right down there. Yep.
And she came back, her sister was like, "He froze, right?"
Yeah, nailed him.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and like one time his mom was talking to him, and she was like, talking about how you coming, like me and your pops, we'd always think about, you know what I'm saying, you growing to be king, and then like, she saw him thinking about his pops not being here, and then immediately she said, he's proud of you, you know what I'm saying, so to push him past that bad thought, you know,
right.
And it's just like, he didn't say anything, but she understood, you know what I'm saying, and it just speaks to when you empower your women and give them the space to operate to the best of their abilities, it just next level shit happens.
Yep.
But now check it though. Check the chess reference that was in there. Now the queen was protecting the king. You know what I mean? The queens were protecting the king. In my mind, the reason why Killmonger lost is because he did something you should never do in chess. He sacrificed his queen. You know what I'm saying? When he shot old girl.
Right.
You know what I mean? When
She
they
was
going
just
down
ride or
the
die.
floor.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
he needed someone else there
Right.
to kind of watch his back a little bit. But he sacrificed that. So I think that was one of the reasons why he kind of fell off a little bit. But it was a lot of different angles in which you could have looked at this thing, and a lot that you could have took from it.
A lot of discussion on parenting, man, which is something that I think is, in our community we got to continue to strengthen, man. I think parenting is always a big topic for us, and I think people take it serious, contrary to mainstream, opinion on African Americans and parenting.
Word.
But I thought there was also a part where the father said something to him that hit me in the heart, man, when he was like, if I haven't prepared you for life after me, I haven't done my job as a father. You know what I mean? And I know as a father myself, I take that serious, and also being lucky enough to have a father in my life who I think has done his best to prepare me, for life in general. But that's huge, man, is if we take the conversations we have with our kids on a daily basis and try to impose upon them not only the point of why we're trying to show it to them, but the benefit of what that knowledge is, I think that goes a long way in getting it to sink in. So I thought that was just powerful when he looked at him. He was like, "Yeah, I ain't done my job if I ain't prepared you to survive after I'm gone." Even when he was unsure of what to do. I think that was something that kind of drove him, which was interesting. To the point where he even scolded the elders at the end, talking about how wrong they were. And again, can't cry over spilled milk, but he called a spade in regards to that scenario. And I think that's something important for real world people to take into account is, if somebody, if mistakes are made, that's fine, but now what do you do? Now what?
And I think due to that, he was somewhat sympathetic to what happened to Killmonger.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think he kind of on some level would have been willing to work it out.
Right.
But Killmonger mom was just like, nah, fuck.
Bullshit ready. Yeah, that's it. Killmonger's
like,
ready.
maybe we can heal you. He was like, nah, I'm good, homie.
Yeah.
Let me bleed out right here.
Yeah, he was bottom line with it, man. He wasn't going back. You know what I mean? He was headed in one direction. But it was good, man, and it was a good flick to take my kids to. It was good for them to see those images. It was good for my daughter especially to see the women in that role. My son as well. You know what I mean? And like you said, man, it's just the empowerment of women. You know, that really spoke to me in this whole situation. And that was the most beautiful thing for me about it. And just seeing the relationship between, you know, the men and the women, like you said, the knowing what was going on without being told. You know what I'm saying? Just that connection. I think it's beautiful to see on the screen. Yeah, doesn't need to be said. You're right. Yes, indeed. So overall, great film. You know, great flick. If you haven't seen it, we do suggest you do so, like everybody else has been telling you to do.
The imagery alone is just...
It's phenomenal, man.
Word. It just puts you in a different headspace.
The whole vibe, the conversation, the humor, you know, the real lessons to be taken from it. I think overall, man, they tied a ball around it. I dug the angle of Black Panther having a tie to Oakland. I know that the director's from there, but I just thought that was one of those things that's just like, you know, how about that? You know, Black Panther tied to Oakland. You know,
and that's another thing that I like. You know what I'm saying? I think it was King, but Shorty was like, man, I got something I'm doing here. But it wasn't until he found a space for her in his kingdom that he was able to pull her in as her queen, his queen. You know what I'm saying? And the other angle was, he said his sister and his out there first. You know what I'm saying? Like it was the woman's idea. You know what I'm saying? His woman's idea to be out there outreaching, and he sent his sister out there to be that outreach, that first Indian over the hill. You know what I'm saying? And it speaks to that the women in this world are what we need to look to move this world forward.
Agreed.
That's the message I got from it.
I definitely agree, man. And what we also saw was the power of the black dollar with this film. You know, we can't put that to the side. Because, you know, a lot of us, we were the main supporters. We were the ones pushing it, promoting it from day one. The
build-up was ridiculous, man. Yeah. I know I got my tickets a month in advance. Like, I couldn't
saved a lot of money on marketing just because we was making sure that it moved.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Even the showing out, the dressing up to go to the theater, that was marketing and promotion within itself.
Right.
So, I mean, the power that we have when we support each other is phenomenal.
Cheers.
You know what I'm saying? Pardon me. Phenomenal, though. Off the charts, man. I mean, this was the biggest... What was it? The biggest superhero movie outside of Avengers. Yeah. Which is a movie with all the superheroes collectively, so you're going to draw a bigger crowd automatically. But this was the biggest solo superhero flick ever to drop. And that says a lot, man. That says a hell of a lot. You know? So,
it tells us that, if we had our own, we could sustain it.
Most definitely. Most definitely. All we got to do is show up. Yeah. That's it. And that's what we did this time. And look. You know, the future of Black Panther looks very bright for that franchise right now, with all the money it's pulled in, man.
Quite frankly.
Shoot. But, you know, speaking of which, man, I mean, well, speaking of women and black women, you know, being empowered and being brought back to the thrones